Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13, and today is the 17th round of the Realistic League here at Azerbaijan's Baku Street Circuit, the fastest street circuit on the current Formula 1 calendar when it comes to pure straight line speed. And ladies and gentlemen, we could be looking at a lot of interesting events today. But before we get too far into it, we do want to go ahead and get into qualifying itself. Also need to check a few things real quickly here. One second. There we are. Alright. Got that. Anyways, we pull up the data and the telemetry real quickly here. Real quickly as we go ahead and take a look at the standings in the championships right now. Coming out of our last race, which was at Spain, at the top of the Manufacturers' Championship is still Ferrari with 288 points. However, XRL Edgar, again, not showing up for today's race. They are going to be today by Kinsey Retro, who's looking like he'll be the only Ferrari for today. In the AlphaTauri camp, they have 236 points. Aston Martin is same with 227. Williams is 4th with 199. McLaren is 5th with 136. Alfa Romeo is 6th with 133. 7th is Haas with 128. 8th is Red Bull with 121. 9th is Alpine with 100 exactly. 10th is Mercedes. They are 29 points out from the triple-digit mark. Then you go ahead and you take a look at the Drivers' Championship as it stands right now. From the bottom to the top, Jacob has 20 points. XRL Yun has 26, which brings him into a tie with Ocean Lion 08. They both have 26. 17th is XRL Jigsaw. He has 30 points. XRL Ozda is 16th with 43. Fizzy is 15th with 44. Frisbee is 14th with 49 points. 13th is Level 6 Beastin with 50. 12th is Gabo with 54 points. 11th is Mr. Worsen with 63. Then you get to your top 10. XRL Flavor, he is 10th with 71 points. 9th is XRL Low. As you see there, 19 going by on circuit. 8th is Zola with 81 points. 7th is XRL Dragon with 89 points. However, he is not able to show up for today's race. He will be substituted today by Batesh Jalebin in the other McLaren. Then in 6th is A. Wellington with 108. 5th is Davis Gunn with 130. 4th is Smoothie25 with 132. 3rd is Ryan Hurricane with 133. 2nd is XRL Torpedo with 151. XRL Matrix has a 45-point lead with 196 points at the top of the standings right now. For Matrix, at this point, he just needs to bring home a few points each and every race, and it looks highly likely that he could lock up a championship by doing so. Yesterday, though, last week at Spain, though, he spent a large amount of time, what looked like it would be out of the championship points positions most of the day. Eventually, attrition and the lack of time penalties worked in his favor, as there were only 10 guys running at the end of the event, and he's able to leapfrog himself up the order due to having fewer time penalties than his title rivals. But still, it was very close for him. He's obviously, though, knows with a near 2 races worth of points lead in his favor, he can just kind of step back. If he can just come home, somewhere between 5th and 10th for most of the rest of the season, a championship should be in his favor. But if he starts DNFing or finishing out of the points, that won't really be the case for him. One of the drivers who have come out onto the circuit and has joined us is Shelby Spark, and he is going to be XRL Matrix teammate. So your X2 and X3 championships of the past season, we're going to ride on board silently with Shelby Spark, see what a full lap is like at Baku here with him. that's a full lap on board with Shelby Spark, as we also were watching him trying to pull a draft off of his teammate XRL Matrix down the entire circuit there. Matrix goes to the top with a 141.278. Second is XRL 19 with a 141.673. Third, Shelby Spark 141.851. Fourth is Low with a 141.901. So right now, all the times are relatively close. This man here, though, Dave Ewart, he's going to be coming into the pits. While we were following Shelby Spark, Dave had a bit of an issue coming right into the start of Sector 2. It's ripped his entire front wing off, so he will bring that Mercedes back into pit lane. This man here, BTEC Jalebin, he is settling in for XR Raptor, a race that Raptor was honestly looking forward to significantly. Zola, though, might be appreciative of this, though. It's not been great for the McLaren team thus far this season, but maybe new blood will help them shake things up and pull something out this season that they've not been able to do most of the year. Also out there on circuit, we see Jigsaw. He is coming through Sector 2 right now. Clean track ahead and behind him. No issues there. His teammate Veloce, he's just completed a purple Sector 2 and now flying down the main straightaway at speed. 190 miles an hour. 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 200. 201, 202 miles an hour as he crosses the line, immediately jumps off the throttle, but that's good enough for what was the second, now third best time. Now is your title contender XRL Low, who jumps up 141.198, well, very outside Kansas title contender. It's really his teammate XRL Torpedo who's more of the title threat right now. Also on track here in the Williams is Gabo 36720. Now 17 drivers are on track right now. The 15 fastest will advance to the next round of qualifying. Assuming we don't have any crazy shenanigans with DNFs. And ahead is this man here, Batek Jalebin, as he will cross the line. 142.036 is the 8th best time thus far. The Haas team, though, Frisbee, I got to very briefly hear from him before this race started. Didn't really get to talk to him, was just heard from him. Has no confidence whatsoever in what these cars can do here. He anticipates the Haas will be struggling all day today, and that seems to be the case. Almost 3/4 of a second difference between the 8th and 9th fastest cars right now. Is very possible that we will not see either of the Haas's make it into Q2. They may need to partner up and start doing some DRS shenanigans and drafting shenanigans if they want to see either of them make it into the next round. Yellow flags in some of the sectors. Oh, and something, yeah, that's Veloce. It looks like Veloce has damaged the front wing a bit, and he's also looks to be just about out of fuel. This is very bad news for Veloce. Oh, and Veloce kind of crashes his way into the pit lane, but he is in. Davey Wart, meanwhile, in the middle of the lap. His teammate Ocean Line's not been able to set yet. Dave trying to get something happening here with the Mercedes. 35.2 at the end of Sector 1. A lot of 90-degree and near 90-degree corners here. Very close to the wall. In fact, I think he may have damaged the front wing. I'm looking for wing damage. I did not see any, so he's still at it. He's still going for it. These corners are high speed, full throttle, but if you're just a little bit damaged on the front wing and you're not aware of it, it's basically a high ticket to a destroyed race car. We've seen that happen before here. 116.101 at the end of Sector 2. Now Sector 3 is basically the 190-degree corner to get onto the main straight, and while there are technically corners on the main straight, realistically it's one big full throttle acceleration point. This is the fastest straight line speed we'll see some of these cars get all season long, at the line for the Mercedes. He's already nearly at he's at 200 miles an hour, 201. And starts bringing it back down. Dave Ewart goes to the top now with a 141.081 on the timesheets. XRL Flavor in the Red Bull. He has been in a rivalry with Raptor for the last several weeks. With Raptor gone, Flavor also has that in his pocket. He also knows that he's been outscoring Raptor, who is hyping himself up as a title contender earlier this season. This honestly has turned itself into a fantastic season thus far for XRL Flavor, and a top 10 in drivers' points might, not saying it will, but it could still happen. As we look real quickly at the standings right now, again, talking about Flavor, he is currently 10th with 71 points, just 5 out from XRL Low. 11th is Mr. Richardson with 63. The gap between Flavor and Dragon is actually only 18 points right now in Dragon's favor. If Flavor can keep his shipping home points as the season goes on, he might be able to steal it. And that's XRL Torpedo, your title contender. Fastest lap. Please stand by, because we are dealing with some technical difficulties here. We're going to follow Zola for a lap. I'm going to try and fix some technical issues that we're having here on the broadcast. Alright, can you hear me? Alright. I was trying to be a little cheeky and use a controller that I preferred for this, simply because it had the little headset extension that let you control mute and not, but can't seem to utilize that. So I'm back to the brand new controller, which is still nice and it feels really nice in my hands. It doesn't give me quite as much audio control. Anyways, Zola will cross the line now. 141.257, that's the 6th fastest time. Frisbee has improved up to 10th with a 141.450. Good job on his part. Gillebin is back on circuit right now. It's Ryan Hurricane and Flavor who are on the outside looking in on times. Flavor, though, going for another lap here. And as he crosses the line, will he improve? Yes, he does. Up to 9th, 141.374. Ocean Lion in the Mercedes. He's the only driver to have not yet set a time. Less than 5 minutes left in this session. Ocean Lion really being careful and kind of prissy-footing it around through there in Sector 2. He's not really abusing the full racetrack like he could. He may be concerned about damaging the front wing or even just damaging the car in general. Bit of a slide from the rear tires coming out onto the main straight. Torpedo retires in the pit lane. Feels very confident. Here comes Ocean Lion to the line. Now Gabo retires in pit lane. And at the line for Ocean Lion, his teammate has the 2nd fastest time. Lion will try and match that, but is only able to go 141.682. But to put things in perspective, though, everyone from 2nd to 15th is within the 141 range right now. So, yeah, he's off by about half a second and by over half the field, but the grid is really well close together right now. Now we see Ryan Hurricane, the Hossies, coming back out onto the circuit. Now we see Jigsaw, he's retired in pit lane as well. A lot of drivers near the top know they're not at any risk. Again, the bottom 2 drivers will not advance to the next round of qualifying. Kinsey Retro is safe, but on the bubble, and all it would take is this man here, Ryan Hurricane, or the man in 16th, Batek Gillebin, to improve. And Gillebin has a draft off of his teammate Zola. This should be enough to get him in. Yes, it is! Gillebin jumps up into 2nd, 140.995. So a little bit of teamwork going on in the McLaren camp. Zola aborts right afterwards. He doesn't even try to make the corner because he was out there for one intention and one intention only, and that was to help his teammate in. Now we see Kinsey Retro coming back out onto the circuit, and Ocean Lion is now back on the bubble. And he's down on time this lap compared to the last one. I think he's pulling over. I don't think he's going to go for another shot at it. Frisbee is on an outlap, as is Jabus John, XRL 19, Kinsey, and Ryan Hurricane. So almost everyone from 12th to 17th in the middle of laps right now. All of them knowing that they're at risk of getting squeezed out here. A bit more than 2 minutes left in the session, so there's a lot that could still be at play here. Jabus John coming down the straight. He'll be the first of this group, well, second of this group because Ryan's just crossed the line. He'll be the next of this group to try and improve. Aston Martin, 202 miles an hour across the line. That ties the Mercedes for fastest straight line speed. Jabus really sliding. I don't know if it was the rear end stepping out. It honestly looked to me like he may have oversteered too much on exit. It may have been driver forced. But that's not the kind of time you can afford to be losing here. Kinsey now crossing the line. So Kinsey will have one shot at this. Several of these other drivers will probably be able to get one more shot. This is one of them. I think Jabus, if he doesn't make any mistakes, he'll get a chance for one more lap if he so thinks that is the right way to go as he twitches the Aston again. Now we see Jalebin retiring in the pit lane. Zola now join him. They all know they're safe. Right now, I think if you're A1 from Flavor on up, you're probably safe. But from Frisbee down, you might not make it to the next round. That's a slow Alpine. That's probably 19 to be accurate. He will not be in the way of the Aston. All right, now Ryan Hurricane coming across the line. Hurricane jumps up to 9th, 141.265. That brings him into a tie with Veloce for 8th fastest. So now with that, 19 is on the bubble. It's Jabus John and Kinsey Retro who are on the outside looking in. John coming to the line. Has he improved enough? The answer, no. He is down, but he's got enough time to go for one more lap if he so needs. 19 in the middle of the lap. He is on the bubble right now. The time is up in the session. This will be his last attempt. '13th, 141.353. Flavor sets a 141.374, and that's the time he's gonna be stuck with. I might be wrong. Flavor might get squeezed out at the last minute by these men here. Kinsey coming to the line. He improves up to 14th, 141.364. Now Flavor is on the bubble once more. Kinsey might just be in. Ocean Lion and Jabus Young still could have a lot to say about this. Ocean Lion currently navigating Sector 2 in the Mercedes. Jabus John just a little bit behind him on the racetrack. Lion still being very, very cautious, not really abusing the full width of the racetrack. And Frisbee, I didn't catch it, but Frisbee's just set a time. Second fastest, 140.977. Here they come to the line. Ocean Lion and Jabus John. We're right on board with Jabus. Can Ocean Lion squeeze Flavor out? At the line, the answer, it's not looking likely. I think Ocean Lion's aboard. Yes, Lion's gonna go aboard. Jabus John does not improve enough. He goes up by over 2/10, but it's not enough. John, 17th slowest, will not advance. And that's it. A lot of chaos going down at the last moments of Q1 there. But there's your results, and I didn't catch this, but several drivers, I thought everyone would be on sauce by default, but several drivers, Gabo, Jigsaw, Zola, and Veloce, they all advance on the medium tire compounds. So they have an extra set of sauce that they can choose to use for Q2 and Q3 if they so choose. Alright, so now we're in the second round of qualifying, and this is the session of qualifying where we decide what tire compound drivers think is the best to start the race on, but there is rumors that it may be a wet start to the race. If so, tire compound may not actually have any impact. So right now, Veloce, the second of the field to get out into the circuit, most over half the grid already out on track, and they're trying to get even more out as we speak. But ahead of Veloce on circuit is his teammate Jigsaw. They're both on soft tires. The driver right now, who is on mediums, that's highest up on the grid, is this man here, 19. Although that is his teammate Gabo behind him. They both are running mediums at the moment. They will likely try to use some drafting shenanigans to get each other into the next round of qualifying if so necessary. Big thing to consider. A little bit of a twitch there. As we ride on board Veloce, as he looks at Shelby Spark behind him. Oh, and 19's out! So the Williams, in an instant with each other. What in the world happened? You hardly ever see a scenario where teammates crash out like that under qualifying conditions. Bizarre. But yeah, 19 now has no chance of making it to the next round. And for Gabo, you can see damage to the car, the entire front wing ripped off. He's just going to try and make it back into the pits as soon as possible. But a strange scenario, to say the least. Oh, and he's into the wall also now. Lucky that he hit it relatively square on, so the risk of him actually tearing off the front suspension was reduced. But still, it's not looking very good for the Williams camp. Frisbee! And right there! And it's in the uphill section! And Castle! And now we see Lowe. He has to avoid this car as well as he comes uphill. And Frisbee is out of it. The man who set the second fastest time is now out. Well, second fastest time in Q1 is now out of Q2. So now we're down to only 13 drivers turning laps at the moment. And for Ryan Hurricane, this could be rough. Shelby Spark now sets the fastest time thus far, 141.110. And coming into the party right now is Frisbee. Frisbee, go ahead and include your audio. You pulled off an incredible lap in Q1, second fastest of them all. And now you crash out so early in Q2. What happened?
I just tried to get a banker on the Q1 lap tires, but the fronts were just dead, and then pushing through the castle section in the Haas isn't the smartest idea. So I kind of just bottled it.
Well, it looks like you're going to be starting this race 14th, 15th, something like that. Do you think you can convert that into points in today's race?
Yeah. I'll be able to do it. I'll win the race.
Alright, that's some incredible confidence considering that before qualifying started, you were saying that you were anticipating nothing good, so...
From qualifying, I think in the race the Haas is a lot better, plus I shouldn't have been it.
Alright, well, we'll definitely be looking forward to what happens then. your teammate Ryan Hurricane is still out on circuit, still turning laps, so maybe he'll be able to give Haas a good, a pincer attack with him attacking the front of the grid, and you'll be attacking the back.
Yeah, it sounded like it's all ours.
Alright, well, thank you for being willing to jump in and speak with us.
Yep.
Alright, as we turn our focus back onto the racetrack, the next driver to cross the line is going to be Shelby Spark, but Shelby's on a cooldown lap right now, so the focus actually is going to go to Flavor, I believe. Yeah, Flavor will be the next driver to cross the line with the lap time here. As I see him flying right now through Sector 2. .117.672 at the end of Sector 2 there. Now it's full throttle. Fuel lights already flashing for him. Dave Ewart improves up to 4th. So 141.6 now in the Mercedes camp. But it's clean track ahead for Flavor. He'll be the 7th driver to set a time in the session. 142.735. So now the focus goes to Jigsaw, who's in the middle of a lap of his own. And behind him is B-Tech Glebend. For a moment there, you could see both McLarens in that shot. So Jigsaw, at the line, will set a lap time to the top, 140.438. Now we turn our focus to Zola once more. Going to go silent for just a little bit as we ride on board with Zola here. Everyone on track thus far on soft tires. Matrix, the only one with mediums equipped, but he has not come onto the circuit yet. Down the main straight, and now we see Zola begin his lap. The Mercedes-powered McLaren, 203 miles an hour, 204 miles an hour. That's the 205 for the briefest of moments. That's the fastest straight line speed we've seen from any machine thus far today. Also of note, Gabo is about to finish this lap. He'll be the 9th driver to set a time in the session. Gabo is going to record a time of 140.497. That's the second best we've seen thus far. Outstanding job in the Williams camp. As once again, we turn our focus to Zola. Comes into the narrowest and honestly, in my opinion, the most bullcrap part of the circuit here in Castle. Very close to the outside wall, really leans on that thing. Nearly 190 miles an hour. Brings it back down, starts powering back through again. 10 drivers have set their lap times thus far. Zola trying to be the 11th. Flavor at the 42.7 is on the bubble right now. And that's the bubble that Zola wants to pop. Already at 192 miles an hour, still accelerating. 195, and now the DRS pops open, and it crests into the 200s, 203, 204. It was at 205 in the last lap. This 205 again, and Zola 140.972. So pure straight line speed seems to be the recipe that's working out for that team right now. Matrix has aborted any shot of trying to qualify on medium tires. He is on softs. He is in the middle of the lap, as is his title rival XRL Torpedo, who was in the middle of an outlap right now, just gotten onto the circuit. His teammate XRL is a little bit farther up the road right now. Matrix's teammate Shelby Spark is right now 5th on the timesheet, 141.110. So we know that there's speed in the Alfa Romeo machine. Matrix in the middle of his lap right now. He'll be the 12th driver to set a time in the session. It's really just a matter of Matrix needing to mine the points gap between himself and Torpedo to season's end. Honestly shocked that there wasn't considered a track cut and invalidation. Very close to knocking off the tire there. Gabo retires in the pits. He feels very confident, but now we see Ryan Hurricane coming back out onto the track now. In fact, a lot of drivers starting to come back onto the circuit. So Matrix has made a good decision to set his lap now. While it's still relatively clean track all around, there's really no one around to invalidate. Zola and Jigsaw have also just both retired in the pits. They know that they're good. Coming to the line is Matrix now. Very slight final bend. He's already at 190 miles an hour. Car seems to stall out at about 190 before he gets DRS. When he gets DRS, he's at 200, hits 201, and it seems like he can't really get faster than 201, but he carries enough speed through the corners that he's able to secure 4th fastest, 140.901. So now the focus goes to Torpedo. He'll be the last driver to set time in the session. Ahead of him on track, this is teammate Lowe. Is Lowe going to be able to give his teammate a Torpedo a tow down the straight? It looks like that might be the strategy. But did they time it well enough? Oh, I think they did. Torpedo's going to get a really great tow here from his teammate. Already at nearly 200, and now with DRS and the draft, he's at 207, 208 miles an hour. That's the fastest time thus far. Torpedo blistering it in a straight line. Immediately aborts, trying to make the following corner. He doesn't care. He just secured the fastest time, so he'll definitely be good. As opposed, his title rival Matrix has just had an incident. And Matrix has had an incident! And this will bring some major championship implications into play as Matrix has crashed out in the castle section. They've already removed his car, but he will not advance. Gonna try and get him into the party real quickly to see what happened. He had just set a very competent lap, and now it's all gone. And now for the likes of Dave Ewart, Kinsey Retro, and Flavor, they have one more chance to make it. All right, coming into the party now is XRL Matrix, your points leader. Matrix, you had just set a very competent lap, and then it crashed in the castle section. What happened?
I don't know, I just want to play my football manager. I don't know, I just started going for it and there's no point. I don't know, spend it. I was close to it the first time, but I managed it, but that was daft. There was no point in it.
Alright, well now it looks like you're... Well, the big question now is, do you think you can convert this into some points for today's race, though?
No, it's raining, I hate rain. I can't drive in the rain.
Oh, so you can confirm that this will be a wet weather racetrack for today's race?
Oh, it's wet for 45 minutes. Full on fit.
Oh dear. Oh boy.
So,
alright, well if you can survive the first 45 minutes, do you think you convert it into a points day?
No, because I'll be miles away.
Alright, well, I
happens, but I don't know.
Alright, well, I appreciate your honesty. Thank you for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Hopefully we don't have to talk to you again in today's session until maybe after the race is over.
You might. You might. Right, cheers for that.
Alright, well that's the word from your points leader, XRL Matrix. Looks like he's going to start 10th. B-Tech Glebin not able to go fast enough to squeeze Matrix out. This is Kinsey Retro coming to the line. Can he squeeze Matrix out and get himself and that Ferrari into the final round qualifying? The answer, yes he does. Ferrari will advance to the next round. Here comes Flavor now. Flavor is up by nearly a full second. At the line for the Red Bull. He improves by over a second, but can't beat Glebin's time, let alone squeeze Matrix out. Shelby Spark in the middle of a lap right now, but he's already in and locked into the next round. And it sounds like he might. He's gonna commit. Now he's committing irregardless. To the line. Yes, he jumps up to third, 140.490. So we know that the Alfa Romeo cars have speed, at least in the dry. What are they going to be like in the wet? Ryan Hurricane now coming to the line. And he will abort. He knows that he's in. He's not going to push harder. So now the focus goes to Dave Ewart, but Dave is already on a cooldown lap. For all intents and purposes, this session is over. Very interesting Q2. You know, everyone kind of realized early on that the tires to be on were soft, especially with the confirmation that the race itself would have a wet weather start. But irregardless, a lot of chaos going on, to say the least, and we're only going to see 9 drivers advance into the final round of qualifying. As we look real quickly, the drivers that do not advance, they will be XRL 19 in the Williams, Frisbee in the Haas, Flavor in the Red Bull, B-Tech Glebin in the McLaren, XRL Low in the AlphaTauri, and XRL Matrix in the Alfa Romeo. The 9 drivers that will be fighting for the pole position will be XRL Zola, Ryan Hurricane, Kinsey Retro, Dave Ewart, XRL Veloce, Gabo 36720, Shelby Spark, XRL Jigsaw, and XRL Torpedo. And this is the crazy thing. There is not any teammates going into the final round of qualifying. We have 9 different no, I take that back. Veloci and Jigsaw are teammates. So we have 8 teams across these 9 spots. So, yeah, I think Veloci and Jigsaw, if they're willing to work together, they honestly could use some drafting and try and lock out the front row, or at least lock out positions on the front 2 rows for this event. Alright, so the first car onto the circuit this time around is Ryan Hurricane in the Haas. The benefit of that, doesn't have to worry about any aerodynamic wake in Sector 2 that can be problematic. But in Sectors 1 and 3, he would want to have the aerodynamic draft. It's going to be very rough, but still, one Haas guaranteed a top 9 starting position irregardless. nearly the entire field, with the exception of Zola, is out on track. And as I say that, we can see Zola coming down right now. So all 9 cars out onto the race circuit at the moment. But Torpedo pulls over completely almost in Sector 2 to let everyone else go by. He does not want to be compromised in any way by the other drivers. It's not looking good for the Haas camp though. Even with DRS engaged, they are not able to get that machine over 199 miles an hour, so they cannot hit 200 on the front straightaway. So they need to hope that the Haas cars have enough grip in the corners that it won't serve to be an issue in the race. .664 at the end of Sector 1 for the Haas. Hits the wall. Is there wing damage? I don't see wing damage. They're still going for it. Downhill. 117.683 at the end of Sector 2 now. Going through Sector 3. All 9 drivers out on track, all 9 trying to get laps in. Ryan will be the first of them. And he's pulling out. Ryan's aborting this attempt. So it now goes to Jigsaw to be, no, not Jigsaw, Veloce be the first driver to set time in the session. And in the Alpine, with the Renault power plants, they will set time 140.811. And now here comes Dave Ewart to the line in the Mercedes. It will be likely a bit faster. And right out the line, and Veloce crashes in the first corner. And chaos, as now Gabo has to avoid, Dave has to avoid. It's complete anarchy going to turn 1 now. The other Alpine, that's Jigsaw, has taken damage. Jigsaw has hit his teammate Veloce. And the entire field, and the Alpines, one Alpine's not even going to be able to start any higher than 3rd. The other now is going to be relegated to at least a 6th place position, if not worse. What in the devil happened? Kenzie aborted his lap to come into the pit lane as well. So Zola here will be the 7th driver to set a time. Oh no. No! My goodness, it's gotten worse! And now Dave Ewart's had his own accident, although his car is not totaled, and that's going to cause another series of stack-ups on the circuit. So many cars all on top of each other that one mistake is having a massive somersault effect across the entire grid. Alright, coming into the party now is XRL Veloce. Veloce, go ahead, include your audio. You had just set a very competent time, 140.811, and then crashed right afterwards. What happened? It's caused a lot of crazy knock-on effects, to say the least. It looked like, I won't lie, honestly, it looked like you two in the Alpine could have seriously locked up the front row, and now neither of you are even going to be able to start better than 3rd. Jigsaw has a 5-spot grid penalty for the race, and you are obviously wrecked out. right, so with that, obviously, goes to the question, so do you think you'll be able to still convert this into a potential win, or at least a podium? Alright, well, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. It's a shame what's happened to you and the entire Alpine team. Hopefully you guys will be able to turn it around the race itself. Alright, we turn our focus back onto the racetrack. Ryan Hurricane first to get on circuit earlier, but he aborted his first flying lap. Now he's going for it again. Very clean track right now. There are only 2 other cars on the circuit at the moment. One of them, Gabo, who has the fastest time right now, 140.255. One of them is that's Dave. Sorry, Dave Ewart in the Mercedes. Ryan trying to be the 8th driver of the 9 to set times here. .116.148, the end of Sector 2. So that's his fastest time through Sector 2 thus far. Coming to the line for the Haas machine. Wasn't able to break 199 earlier, even with DRS help. He hit 200 just for a moment there. That's a 141.287 for Hurricane in the Haas. Gabo coming to the line as he's about to start a lap, as will Dave Ewart. Dave's going to be the really interesting one to watch because without a doubt he has the best car on the grid. But, however, he does not have necessarily... Well, the question is, the gimmick with XRL is that the fastest drivers are put in the slowest cars, the slowest drivers put in the fastest cars. So I guess for Dave, the question is, does he have the talent to maximize what this car provides? We know that these Mercedes are very, very, very twitchy. And you basically have to be trying to exert 95% of performance out of them all the time. Otherwise, they're almost impossible to control. Further up on the circuit ahead of Dave Ewart is Kinsey Retro. So in the Ferrari, he has come back out and is about to start going for another lap attempt here. He's the only driver thus far to have not made a shot in this round of qualifying. Now, 2 minutes left. It looks like Kinsey's only going to have 1 lap, maybe 2 if he's fueled enough, but realistically, it looks like he's only going to have 1 lap at this. Shelby Spark has come onto the track, as has Torpedo, as has Zola, as has Jigsaw. Gabo is in the middle of a lap right now, trying to improve. Gabo's down on time, though, by almost a full minute at the moment. Not a full minute, almost a full second, though. So this will not be the improvement that Gabo's looking for. Dave's actually closed in a bit on Kinsey Retro. So, yeah, with the speed of the Mercedes, he might be able to get a bit of a draft off of the Ferrari and may be able to further his shot at front row starting spot. .140.404, that's third best thus far. Kinsey now beginning his lap. Ryan Hurricane in the middle of a lap right now. 141.27 has been his best thus far. He's up by a little bit. It would be enough to get him ahead of Shelby Spark, but he needs to maintain this kind of pace. Shelby is on an out lap right now and is trying to open up the gap between himself and Zola. Zola in the middle of his own run right now. Torpedo has crossed the line with 23 seconds left. Gabo, who is in the pits, is hoping that no one else can beat him. Coming in the line is Jigsaw. Jigsaw, 83 thousandths up right now. That would be enough to put him over Gabo, but Jigsaw has a 5-spot grid penalty he'll have to suffer anyway, so Gabo isn't really worried about Jigsaw overcoming him on track, or on the grid. To the line for the Alpine team. Jigsaw to the top, 140.126. Fastest time, but again, pole position will be denied for him. 6 is the absolute best, and for Kinsey, everything has gone to crap. He has invalidated his only attempt. He will be locked into a 9th place starting position. Shelby, by the same marker, is in the middle of the lap right now. That could still happen. Torpedo's got a lap going right now. Zola has a lap going right now. Dave Ewart is down on time. He's on a cooldown lap at the moment. So the focus is going to be on Torpedo. His championship rival, Matrix, is not going to start top 9. He'll be starting 10th. So Torpedo wants to obviously put as much space between himself and his tower rival as possible. At the line for the AlphaTauri. To the top! 140.006, outstanding time! And now here comes Shelby Spark, and here comes Zola. Zola, the car in a car that has the fastest straight line speed we've seen thus far in a single car run. He'll cross the line with a 140.259, and now here comes your defending X3 champion, Shelby IX Spark. He'll cross the line with a not enough to move up the grid by the looks of it. So Torpedo, second in the title fight, is going to start trying to close the gap in again as he takes home the pole position here. And there's your result. Torpedo, fastest. He'll be sharing the front wheel with Gabo 360. Then third will be Zola. Fourth will be Dave Ewart. Fifth will be Ryan Hurricane. Sixth will be XRL Veloce. Seventh will be XRL Jigsaw, serving the penalty after hitting his teammate. Eighth will be Shelby Spark in the Alfa Romeo. Ninth will be Kinsey Retro. And the entire grid only separated by about just a tick more than 4/5 of a second. The gap between Veloci and Shelby Spark alone, 1,000th of a second. For whatever reason, I'm stuck here and I can't seem to be allowed to see anything else. There we are, now we're advancing. Took a long time. Alright, now I'm prepared to get going for the race itself. Flashback last season. For the Realistic Series, lap traffic ended up with an accident in Castle, and it caused a complete track blockage that took out the race leader and held up second and third position as well, which completely upended the course of that race. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. As we look at the race director right now, and everyone seems to think that full wet weather tires will be the way to go for this event. Oh, alright, I take that back. This is interesting. Ryan Hurricane and the Haas, they are electing to start on intermediate tires, apparently. But no one else seems to think that's the right call to make. So this could end up being very interesting. Oh, there we are. Frisbee and the other Haas electing to start on intermediates as well. As we prepare to get underway, we should be going green in about a minute's time here. But yeah, those two in the Haas team seems to be the only ones wanting to run on intermediate rubber. Everyone else going full wets. Here we are, preparing to get underway for the race itself now. Very interesting front row. And the title fight still might be up in the air. It all comes down to if Matrix can run to the end. But for the race, 17 drivers going in, but only one will leave on the top step of the podium. 4 lights, 5 lights. As lights out, away we go here, and Torpedo does not have the greatest start. It seems like no one's really having a very good start, but coming to the line, Gabo on the inside is going to hold even and will actually out-drag the Torpedo coming out of the first corner. Out further back, I can see Shelby Spark having a bit of trouble, but Gabo has the lead as he very gingerly is leading the field around. Dave Ewart has hit the wall, and there we are seeing damage. It looks like Dave Ewart in the Mercedes is damaged, so does Belushi in the Alpine by the looks of it. And already things have gone absolutely chaotic all across the grid. Ryan Hurricane, who is on the intermediate tires, is stuck in the middle of a 3-way fight, sandwiched by the Alfa Romeos, and that's Matrix. Your championship points leader has been hit from behind and has gone into the wall as well. And that's 19 who goes by Ryan Hurricane in the process, and now Ryan gets slipped behind. Matrix trying to get by him now. And that's a virtual safety car. Don't know what for, maybe just because of excessive amounts of winglets and debris on the circuit. Also, Davis Dunn also had apparently switched onto the intermediates just before we went green. Very last minute call. But he has worked that into a move up to the 13th spot. But we are now under a virtual safety car here. At the front is this man here, Gabo, as he was able to out-drag XRL Torpedo to the line. Oh, and Ryan has had a full-on accident in the Haas. And he takes a top 10 starting grid position and turns it into an accident. And Lowe has had an accident as well. And Lowe is destroyed. The car is absolutely demolished. And a big accident for XRL Lowe under the safety car. And 19 has had an incident as well. And the track might be too wet to race on. Now we see Shelby Spark. He is also suffering damage. The track might be too wet to actually hold a race on. As we see Shelby Spark coming in, now Gabo, your race leader, he's coming in as well. A bunch of drivers coming in at the moment. Torpedo will now re-inherit the race lead. Zola, of all people, is now up into second. And Kinsey, who didn't even get a turn on lap, a legal lap in the final round qualifying, he's now up into fourth. And a lot of the drivers who pitted, they are pitting to put on another sets of full wet weather tires. Not seen anything from Ryan Hurricane yet. It's a long way down to the pit lane for him. And no, they're going to put on another set of intermediates for him. And your championship points leader, Matrix, relegated to 15th at the moment. But considering how wet the circuit is, it might be a scenario where it doesn't matter if Matrix can just keep the car in mostly one piece until the rain goes away. He might still be able to walk out of here with points. Again, with a 45-point lead coming into this race, for Matrix, he just needs to, as long as he's earning a few points every race from here to the end of the season, theoretically, he should be able to stay ahead of Torpedo. Torpedo would need to close in at a rate of about 7 to 9 points every race from now to, on Matrix, from now to the end of the season in order to win the title. And I'm not saying it can't happen. Torpedo is definitely one of the better racers that XRL has, in my opinion, but it's a kind of a tall order. The entire field right now is under the full course safety car. Some of the drivers that did elect to get onto alternate tires, Gabo 36720, XRL Veloce, Ocean Line, and Ryan Hurricane, all on intermediates. Frisbee and James Talent started the race on intermediates, and they weren't even in the top 10. Now they're both 5th and 6th, so very interesting scenarios right now. Oh, and Zola and Jigsaw are pitting out 2nd and 3rd. And now we're seeing Flavor, he's pitting, 19 is pitting. A bunch of drivers near the back of the grid are all pitting. Are they going to put on intermediates? The answer is yes. Intermediates are now the order of the day, it would appear. So these drivers seem to believe that the track is may have not, wet weather tires may not have been the call to go with. Now they're not all. Gabo has elected to just go into another set of full wets. But other than that, everyone farther back is on full wets. Matrix is now on intermediate. So this is strange to say the least. So our top two, Torpedo and Kenzie Retro, on full wet weather tires, but the rest of the grid, except for Gabo and the top two, all on intermediates other than that. And we've been under safety car, the virtual or full course, pretty much since we got out of turn 5 or so. And then Lowe had an accident in turn 2 under the VSC, which put us under the full course safety car. Now Ocean Line is still a good 11 seconds off from 19 alone, and it's going to take a while for everyone to close up. But we could potentially go green this lap, depending on how long it takes this man here, Flavor, to catch up to the back of the grid, and then after that, how long it takes Ocean Line in 15th to catch to 19. Our Flavor is only about 4 seconds, 3.5, about 3 seconds out now. Oh! And B-Tech Jalebin hits the outside wall while trying to catch up to the grid. I don't see any damage to that car, but that was a pretty solid hit. No word if we're going green this lap. It looks like we're going to stay under the yellow flag for another circuit. So we're not likely to go green until about lap 5 then. Do Torpedo and Kinsey elect to pit and go on to alternate tires? Yes, they do make that decision in the AlphaTauri camp. And Kinsey Retro and the Ferrari does the same. But this now will drop them deep down the grid in a bad way. Gabo, he's getting off his tires as well. Levin, apparently there may be damage to that car that we couldn't see, but everyone will now be on intermediate tires. And in the championship fight, this works out respectably well for Matrix because he is now going to won't be ahead of Torpedo, but he'll be able to close in on Torpedo. In fact, he'll only be 1 spot behind him, well, 2 spots behind him on the track. So, yeah, Torpedo in 10th now and Matrix in 12th. So the title fight kind of swings a little bit back in Matrix's favor now. Veloce and Jalebin still on pit lane. As I said, the McLaren has just come out. But now we have to wait again to see how long it will take this man here, Ocean Line, to get to the back of the grid again. And now Frisbee and James John, who elect to start on the intermediates, everyone else on the track have pitted, and those two have now cycled to the lead of this race. And the rain seems to be getting lighter and lighter. So while I said the track might be too wet to race on for the first lap, we're on lap 4 and already it's cleared up significantly. Ocean Line has caught the back of the grid. In fact, as we look at everyone except Jalebin has caught the field. We're just waiting on that McLaren to catch the back of the grid now. And we should be going green lap 5 here. At Baku, big twitch from the McLaren. At the front, Frisbee and Javis Dawn, who didn't even get to the final round of qualifying, will be leading the field to the green flag. Frisbee trying to recover from an accident in Q2. So the pace car is already starting to rocket away from the grid. Zola there in 3rd is going to be in a great position with slightly fresher intermediate rubbers and a car that is without a doubt the fastest in a straight line. Frisbee not really pushing too hard, not really trying too hard to keep the entire field bunched up. And there they are. He's put the power down and they're off. James John responded well. The top 2 actually got a great restart. Does James make a move on the Haas going into 1? Green flag is in the air. Austin Martin on the outside won't be able to stick alongside. Tries to crossover, but Frisbee does a good job on defense. Ryan Hurricane's going to sneak by Flavor farther up, so the Haas's are looking good. Zola is already close right in to the rear end of the Aston Martin. Oh, and that's it, and Shelby Spark has had a spin right on the restart and has ripped off the entire front wing. But we stay green. Matrix gets by his title rival XRL Torpedo and moves up to 10th now. Kenzie squeaks by Ocean Line, but at the front, the top 3 right on top of each other. Now Jigsaw has caught Zola. He wants to join the fray. The Haas seems to have good initial acceleration, but the longer the straights go, the worse and worse the old Ferrari engines are proving to be. There we are. We see Frisbee's now opening up the gap on the rest of the grid. Under braking. Ooh, Zola just noses the outside wall the same way his teammate Jalebin did earlier, and that leaves Zola potentially open for an overtake. Not gonna happen. Oh, and Torpedo's had an instant now. And Kinsey Retro has crashed as well in the middle of the grid. Veloce has gone around as well. Multi-car incident. Here comes Shelby Spark at speed to the scene of the incident. But they're already moved, but we are under a full course safety car, not even able to get a full lap of racing in. And Dave Ewart has to serve a drive-through penalty now for speeding under the VSC. Well, under the full course safety car, I'm sorry. Jigsaw pitting to repair damage by the looks of it. Who else? Dave Ewart, he'll pit. Gabo will pit. Matrix will come in and pit. Torpedo will pit. Veloce, he'll have to pit, as will Kinsey Retro. And Shelby Spark even farther back. So Frisbee, Jabez John, Zola, and Ryan Hurricane maintain the top 4 positions. Flavor now finds himself up into 5th place. This race is something else. In the championship fight now, neither of our 2 title contenders, Matrix or Torpedo, are inside the points paying positions, and Matrix is ahead of Torpedo on the racetrack. So again, the title fight, just like what we saw late at Catalunya, here it's early today at Baku, it's swinging back in Matrix's favor. And for the Haas team, they said, hey, don't anticipate anything great from us. They're running 1st and 4th, and Ryan is doing that after coming back from an early accident. Already, I think everyone outside of like 4 drivers have been involved in an accident of some type over the course of this race. And we're barely a 10th of the way through the event. And I think everyone except for the top 3 and maybe Flavor have been involved in an accident at some point in this race or another. And we're not likely to go green until about lap 8, because the back of the grid hasn't even come close to catching the front. Nuts. For this man here, though, Dave Ewart, frustration because he now has to serve a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car when the safety car was initially deployed. So, for Dave, it's going to be frustrating because he's 10th now, but when they go green, he's going to end up getting dropped to the back of the grid, irregardless of whatever happens. Now we see the rest of the grid all close back in. Here comes Torpedo back into the pits, so there may be damage on the AlphaTauri machine that we can't see. He's the only one to pit this time by, but this now drops him to dead last, and the man who started on pole goes to last place now. And he's going to have to rush to catch the back of the grid, to say the least. Already nearly 15 seconds out from Shelby Spark, who is currently 15th. I will have the advantage on the straights. We'll be able to close in a bit, but it will be a late decision by the safety car to come in. Already cut it down to a bit less than 13 seconds. 12 seconds. At about 11 seconds right now. 10. If he catches Shelby in the next few corners, I think we'll be going green coming on to lap 8. Real quickly, let's take a look at the telemetry to see if anyone is suffering with fuel mileage. Shelby Spark still has to hit a fuel number. He's still low on fuel. But across the rest of the field, no one else has to worry about fuel numbers right now. And Torpedo has now caught the back of the grid, so we will get word if we're going to go green very shortly here then. There's the word, safety car coming in this lap, so we'll be going green lap 8. We have still not had a full lap of racing thus far today. Getting ready to go green though. Frisbee has the ability to back the field up at his will, at his choosing. Still have 16 of our 17 starters on the track. Who capitalizes, who makes a mistake right away, because the circuit is still wet and slick. No one's really been able to charge around the track in anger, to say the least. Green flag. In the air. Frisbee did a good job keeping Jigsaw behind. I'm seeing a lot of movement, though, farther back in the grid. This is 19 going to go around the inside of Flavor, and he'll take the position. Flavor actually is open to attack from Ocean Lion now, and here comes Jalebin. Jalebin has to back out, though. Jigsaw shoots by. He'll make up 3 positions and is straight in the corner. Outstanding job. Jumps over Veloce, so Matrix up at the 12th now. Kinsey has damage. He falls to last. But at the front, the top 4 have pulled away once more. Flavor falls to 10th. It's been a horrendous restart for him this time. He had a decent restart prior. It's gone just pure bad this time, though. At the front, Haas is running first and 4th. Flavor now out of the points, and now he's holding up Matrix a bit. Gabo's fine with Jalebin farther up. Here comes Matrix, tries to make a move on Flavor, can't make it stick. Now into the castle section. Looks like everyone's just gonna get through that time. Frisbee has opened up more than a second gap on Jigsaw, who's done the same to Zola. Hurricane is actually closed just a bit on Zola, but Zola is going to have it. Zola's hit the wall, coming into that braking zone again. Is there wing damage? I do not see wing damage to the car. Veloce is out. And Flavor is involved as well. He had nowhere to go as another full course safety car. And Flavor has just got disqualified. That's bullshit. But Flavor has just been disqualified and Veloce is out. So we are now down to just 14 drivers left on the racetrack, and we still have not been able to get a full lap of racing in the books, as the track is too wet to do anything with, and both of your title contenders have to pit again, as does Shelby Spark. For Shelby Spark, it's going to be frustrating because he's going to be waiting a bit for his teammate to get out of pit lane. Alright, and coming into the party now is XRL Flavor. Flavor, go ahead and include your audio. We didn't really have an idea what your pace was. We've not been able to get a single lap in, but what happened that took you out there? Flavor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, mate.
Flavor.
Yes, I can, mate.
There. Alright, make sure your eyes included. What happened there in that accident that took you and Veloce out?
I've just seen it on the replay. I'm not quite sure, to be honest. As I was going around the corner, I think I've caught the back of him, but then he seems to have gone straight on in the wall, and I've just hit him. Whether I've caused him to go straight on in the wall, I'm not sure. But he just seemed to be going slow around the corner, and I've just sort of, I don't know if I was pushed or whatever from the back, but I was just behind him. I was going really well and navigating traffic really well, trying to stay out of people's way. But yeah, just normal really. But yeah, just unfortunate because I was doing well.
Yeah, alright, different question. Is the track too wet to race on? Because we've not been able to get a single clean lap in, and every time we try to get a circuit in, I'm seeing multiple guys end up tearing up their front wings. And it seems like no one's able to hit their proper braking zones. Is the circuit just too wet to be racing on?
No, not at all. Not at all. But people are driving like it's a dry track, some people, and that's the problem, I think. Yeah, I've nearly got took out a few times, to be fair, where people were just not giving you room, and if it wasn't for you being careful and trying to get room and then losing positions because of it, but yeah, so it's always trying to navigate that anyway, to be fair.
All right, rough run. However, hopefully you'll be able to turn this around next week. It's a shame to see your day end so early without even really being able to turn a single lap in anger.
No, I thought I did really well, to be fair. I thought I was driving not too bad. The pace was okay. On the laps we had, I was keeping people behind me. Yeah, on the restart there, it was just people were just a bit crazy, if I'm honest. It was a bit mad. But yeah, it's okay. It's part of it. It's all good.
All right, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us.
You're welcome. Good luck, everybody. Apologies to Veloce as well. Absolutely.
All right.
All right. Cheers, pal.
All right, so now we're down to just 14 drivers left on the circuit. Still rainy, still a wet circuit. But Flavor says that the track is not so wet that it's not safe to race on. He says that the impetus for the instance thus far is on drivers just being too aggressive, apparently. It really gets hard to tell. I can say this much. The top 2, top 3 drivers all seem, maybe even the top 4 all seem to be doing really good. But the moment you get past the top 4, you know, it seems to get a lot more random with who and how well people are actually performing or not. We should be going green this lap, lap 11. Hopefully. So the entire field is gathered up. For Dave Ewart, he is still 10th. And he still has to serve his drive-through penalty. Yeah. So frustration for him. Kinsey Retro has not really rebounded. He's just been involved in fewer incidents on the prior restart attempt. So he's now worked his way up into 11th. It's been a very strange race, to say the least. All right, coming to the green flag once more. Frisbee has done a good job the last 2 times with this. I think it's reasonable to assume that he'll do the same this time as well. Keeps the entire field bunched up a bit. A lot more spread in the mid to the rear of the grid. When does Frisbee go? There he is. He's off. Coming to the line. But as we see on board with James John, superior engine. He's going to try and make a move, and Dave is going to serve his drive-through penalty right away. He wants to avoid any potential incidents. And there's a spin, and there's trouble. 19. In the Williams has a spin right out of the first corner and will drop to last. He finally gets moving again. Torpedo now falls behind Shelby Spark. There's an Alpine into the inside wall farther up. That would be Jigsaw. Ryan Hurricanes gained by Zola. Jigsaw Ocean Line fighting for position as well farther up. There's chaos as they go into turn 3 now. Here comes Matrix diving on Kinsey Retro. Championship points leader just trying to get back into the points as soon as possible. And Kinsey just doesn't want to lay aside for him. He doesn't care. He's in trying to win a manufacturer's championship for the Ferrari team. Zola, Gabo having a bit of an issue. Zola not having the great restart that he did the last 2 times. He has fallen from 3rd to 5th. Might even be under pressure from Jigsaw here very shortly. And Frisbee has opened up 2.3 seconds over James John in 2nd alone this lap. Now they come into the corners that everyone's been having the most issues with. Someone hits the wall there. Was that Zola? Did Zola damage the front wing of that car? Has there been an incident? Yes! Zola's into the wall! Zola's ripped up the entire front wing! Here comes Jigsaw now! I don't know if Jigsaw sees that Zola has damage to that front wing, but Zola will have to pit. The McLarens just do not seem to have the ability necessary to take that corner with any sort of proper speed or pace. They always seem to hit the wall. Here comes Kenzie Retro. Here comes Matrix. Oh, Matrix has to be really careful. Kenzie has to be careful. Kenzie's into the wall. Everyone's trying to navigate B-1011, who also has hit the wall and damaged his front wing. Has caused a massive amount of stack up and shake up now. Frisbee leads that lap. He has a massive gap over the rest of the field. But now Kenzie has to pit because the damage he took hitting the wall trying to navigate around B-Tech. Zola pits. This has gone horribly for the McLaren camp. Probably this race seems to be the epitome of the McLaren's entire season. And Dave Ewart, who served his drive-through penalty coming to the green flag, now comes back out 10th again. Torpedo now 9th behind Shelby Spark, but Shelby's going to be running defense for his teammate Matrix. At the front, James John closes the gap down to 1.7 seconds between himself and Frisbee. The top 3 kind of in a zip code of their own, it feels like, when it comes to pace. 19's finally getting underway. They finally have replaced the front wing on that machine. Frisbee trying to open up the biggest gap he can on the Aston Martin right now. And it looks like it's worked out for him at the moment. Again, the Haas drivers weren't very confident, but then we got to talk to Frisbee after his accident, and he's saying a different tune. He said, hey, I'm going to win this. We're still relatively early in the event, but he's definitely making it seem a lot more possible than Haas has any right to here at this circuit. This here's the title fight. And Shelby Spark being the spanner in the works. Matrix not very happy in that corner, but Shelby's able to keep Torpedo behind. Oh, and Kenzie's out! And is that in the castle section? Yes! And another full course safety car. And for Kenzie Retro, the car is stuck right in the middle of the racetrack. And for B-Tech Jalebin, there's no way to get by. 19's gonna try and get by and ends up hitting him irregardless. James John pits, Jigsaw pits, and Kenzie is out of it. And now it's a Haas 1-2. And here's the interesting one. Jigsaw has gone to full wet weather tires. James John, they've thrown on mediums. There's still rain falling, but they've thrown on mediums for Matrix as well. So really bizarre scenarios. All right, coming to the party right now is Kenzie Retro. Kenzie, go ahead and include your audio. Accident in castle section, what happened? I mean, I will ask this question. Is the track too wet to be racing on? Because every single lap, we have seen drivers crashing primarily in Sector 2 as if they have no control over the cars and the brakes aren't working. Yeah, we're on our 4th safety car at this point. Alright, so, I will say this. If you want to stay in the broadcast booth until the end of this event, you're welcome to. There's so much stuff going on, I'm not able to keep up with it. Alright, well, still, you did what seemed like a reasonable job on the initial start, but then kind of, instance later on, you're kind of caught in the middle towards rear of the grid. couldn't really do anything about it. Just nuts, because we're not really seeing a whole lot of actual overtakes. Although I was riding on board with you when you tried to squeeze by the wounded McLarens that prior lap. That was incredible. Well, I guess welcome to the broadcasting booth again. I guess this is how we'll keep you nice and up to speed while X1 is on a interim phase at least. Shelby Spark now pitting out of the top positions, so I'm curious to see if maybe they're going to go ahead and put on different sets of tires. Interestingly enough, despite the fact that the track is still wet and we still have rain, Dave Ewart, XRL Matrix, and John all putting on dry tires. Now Shelby Spark is also putting on dry tires. John, Shelby, and Matrix all have mediums. Jigsaw and Dave Ewart have softs. Well, word was, this is what I had heard, is that the first 30 to 45 minutes of this race was going to be under wet weather conditions. And we're still seeing rain, but we're also seeing sunlight. It seems like the track might be drying a little bit faster than the rain is keeping it wet. But still, like, I don't even see, we've not even turned enough laps. I don't even see a proper dry line around some of the corners. Alright, alternate circumstance. The Haas drivers are now 1-2 all of a sudden. They know they don't have any pace under the dry, but they're competent with their cars in these wet weather conditions. Is there any way they're going to be able to take this 1-2 position they're at right now and convert it into potential podium positions when the track does properly dry out near the end of this race? Alright, one other thing to consider, Torpedo started on the pole position, crashed, fell all the way to last place. Now, he's up in fourth, and he's looking like he's going to abort and come into the pit lane. He's not the only one. Frisbee is coming in, Gobbo's coming in, Torpedo's coming in, a bunch of drivers are coming in. I think everyone is saying, hey, we'd rather have dry tires now. I think Hurricane may have the best choice, or have made the best choice, at least for another lap or so, but the track is very large. For all we know, by the time the field circles back around, it might be dried out, because now I'm riding on board with Jabez John. There's no longer any spray coming from the lead car. As I'm looking from the exterior cams, it looks like all of a sudden the mini straight that's in between turns 2 and 3, there's no wetness on the track anymore. I don't even see rain falling. Has the rain stopped? I think the rain has stopped, and the track may have just totally dried out. Another thing to consider, we are on our 4th full course safety car already. Normally in a F1 2021 race, you only have a maximum of 5 full course safety cars. Even if this race continues to be super chaotic and attrition focused, we may see a scenario where the next safety car is the last one and we just have a bunch of VSCs after that point as well. That could further upset the pace of this event to the end. But would you want to take the mediums all the way to the end, considering that you're going to be burning them up and they're not going to have the greatest grip near the end of the session? I honestly think, you know, considering that this is Baku, it would be better to bet on another full-course safety car coming out, throw on softs now to put on a different set of tires again later in the event, depending on what the circumstances dictate. And Ryan Hurricane's coming into the pits! So that means James John will be your race leader. So James... And your points leader, Matrix, has survived the rain that he was so worried about, and not only has he survived, he is second with his teammate Shelby Spark in third. Oh, McLaren around! Zola! Farther up, 19 is putting pressure on Dave Ewart in 9th. Dave, you know, we had so many yellow flags. Dave Ewart was able to serve a drive-through penalty, and at the end of the following lap, still ended up in the exact same position. He's actually gaining spots. Now Frisbee has just gotten by Jigsaw. Jigsaw's on soft tires, and Frisbee on the Haas has gotten by him. I don't think these Haas's are very weak here. They were really underplaying their strengths, but I think those Haas's might honestly be some of the strongest cars on track. He's trying a little bit further back. Jigsaw really seems to be struggling with the sauce. Torpedo has caught him. It's AlphaTauri versus Alpine as they go through Sector 2. And this would be the scenario, this is the race that Torpedo really needs to perform greatly at, because this is the one track that really emphasizes his car's strength, straight line speed, far more than anything else left on the schedule, realistically. Matrix is there in second. He doesn't have quite the same level of straight line speed, but he has track position. Torpedo needs to turn that around immediately. Here comes Torpedo to the inside of Jigsaw. Neck and neck into the braking zone. And the soft tires for Jigsaw just do not seem to be working out very well whatsoever. Contact! Grid seems to be spacing itself out just a little bit, not excessively so, but just a little bit farther back. 19 is now behind the two Mercedes of Dave Ewart and Ocean Lion, so 8th, 9th, 10th all kind of on top of each other right now, as Gabo in the other Williams is trying to run away from them a bit. Your race leader has had an accident, and that's right in front of the rest of the field, and everyone is going to have to find a way to navigate around him. Jigsaw's the next person coming up on speed, so they asked Martin, will he be able to avoid? He avoids! Torpedo barreling down on the Alpine, going into the braking zone. Does he spin out to the inside? The answer is going to be no. He'll stay in line behind for the moment. DRS has finally kicked in, so now things are going to work out a little bit more in Torpedo's favor. But the man in the best position, the catbird seat as it would be called, is XRL Matrix, leading with his teammate Shelby Spark running interference in second. '19 has gotten by Dave Ewart with some DRS assists, so Dave now falls back to 9th position. The McLaren's back there in 10th and 11th. This circuit, it feels like it should be a perfect track for the McLarens, because the McLarens are, without a doubt, the fastest in a straight line, and they're built to be relatively competent in the corners. but neither Zola or Jalebin have been able to keep very many clean laps in. Of all of our racing laps, I think this is the first time that we've not seen either of them have an incident. One driver who has some really intense race pace right now is the man in third, Frisbee. He is using DRS to keep in touch with the leaders. Here comes Torpedo on Jigsaw. Using DRS will be an easy overtake on the Alpine. Already ahead. Fastest lap. But the gap between third and fourth is 1.4 seconds, and Jigsaw is still close enough to maybe give Torpedo a bit of a headache if the AlphaTauri can't open up a big enough of a gap. And now, yeah, those soft tires just do not seem to have any capability right now, it would appear. Jigsaw has lost time and lost track position this entire time. Now, who knows, maybe also Jigsaw might have a hybrid dry-wet setup or full wet setup, anticipating to run more of the race under racing conditions in the wet than what we actually did, and he may be paying the price for that now. 19, accident! 19's ripped off his entire front wing in the castle section, where it puts us under a VSC, virtual safety car. Well, now with 19 having an incident, that will promote both McLarens into the points, because there's no way that 19 can stay out on track without a front wing. It's just physically not possible. I'm just going to say, anytime that I know a Baku race weekend is coming up for XRL, I always go ahead and put a little bit of stock in the 3D printing business, knowing that, you know, eventually, with all the damage that these guys take, they're going to have to just start 3D printing these wings. There's no way around it. Alright, so now with 19 in the pit lane, we should be seeing the VSC removed very shortly here. This worked out very well for Matrix, because when the VSC came out, he already had a decent gap over his teammate, Shelby Spark. The one driver this also works out for is Frisbee and Torpedo, though, because they also have both closed in on Shelby. So now, Shelby actually has to seriously start defending. Very interesting scenario with the Alfa Romeo team, because your number one driver, XRL Matrix, he's your defending X2 champion, and then your number two driver, Shelby Spark, he's your defending X3 champion. So two very capable drivers in those cars, but also two drivers who are used to being the star in that team. Oh, and he's around, right in front of Frisbee. And now Torpedo is right there behind Frisbee. He's close right in behind the Haas. Is he going to try and make a move here? The answer, no, he's going to hold off, back off. He doesn't want to run to the Haas in case the Haas took damage when Shelby spun. But Matrix doesn't have to worry too much. I did a little bit of calculations earlier. Realistically, if Matrix can just make sure, if Torpedo basically needs to earn about 7 to 9 points every race without fail from here to season's end, if he wants to try and take the championship lead back. if Torpedo wins, but Matrix still finishes second, I think the advantage still goes to Matrix, or at least doesn't really change too much. And although right now I think Torpedo has the advantage, as this goes on, I think Matrix is just good enough. He might still be able to come home second and maintain a solid lead in the championship. Ooh, Jigsaw into the wall. You know, you said the softs were going to last maybe 12 to 15 laps. I don't even think Jigsaw's able to make them last 6. I'm seeing him starting to bang that Alpine off the walls. I mean, he is still maintaining 5th position at the moment, but it's a 5th position with a big asterisk on it because he's going to have to pit sooner than everyone else. And several other people ahead of him, Shelby Spark being the most significant, have had incidents that have dropped them way down the grid. Seems very likely. A little bit of a change around now in the Mercedes camp as Dave Ewart utilized DRS to pull ahead of Ocean Lion going across the start-finish line. So Dave now brings that Mercedes up into 5th place. This could end up being a very respectful day in the Manufacturers Championship for the Mercedes team. And then Shelby Spark is actually, despite the spin, he didn't hit anything, and he's done a good job keeping the tires from totally burning down in the process. He's still running out there in 7th position, so things could have gone a lot worse for him, but he has relatively made it work out. Dave's not having a great time. He's powered by his teammate Ocean Lion, but Dave's banged off of about 4 walls in the interim since then, and James John has crashed coming out of pit lane! Is that a full course safety car? There's no word yet of it being a full course safety car. Gonna try and get Javis John into the party real quickly if he's willing to talk. Not very many people obviously willing to talk after was obviously a very aggravating event to say the least. Alright, here's the real fight though. For a lead, Torpedo is barreled down on Matrix. He's got the speed, he's got the DRS, he's got the engine, and he's got the position now as they come across the line. Torpedo, your pole sitter, is back on top with a 143.362 in the race lead in the AlphaTauri. Matrix has DRS on this straightaway. He'll use it to stay within touch of the AlphaTauri, but that's it. I don't think he's in a position to really fight back. It seems like Torpedo is in a zip code of his own around this circuit, but for Torpedo though, just having Matrix in second while he wins isn't going to be enough. He needs some misfortune to follow Matrix, otherwise it's not really going to change the championship outcome very much. Frisbee is hanging out still in the 3rd position, about 1.6 seconds out of the leaders right now. And here's the other thing, Matrix has not really let Torpedo get that far away. If anything, Matrix is still right there behind Torpedo as they're going now through Sector 2. Matrix might be able to utilize DRS and get back by the AlphaTauri on the front straightaway this following lap here. It looks like it's going to go in Torpedo's favor. I think you called it right because the moment they get a little bit straight, Torpedo starts expanding the gap. 7/10 when they got into the DRS zone, and now Matrix is closing it down, but he's not closing it down by enough. He's only able to bring it down to about half a second, about 2/5 of a second by the time they reach the apex of turn 1. So yeah, I think this still works out in Torpedo's favor. But the fact that Matrix can hold on and keep pressure on Torpedo bears well for Matrix, though. If Matrix can just keep finishing right behind Torpedo at the end of these races, he'll be in a great spot to win this championship. '19 has DRS on Jigsaw on the Alpine. He's trying to make something happen, but that car does not seem very confident. That Williams honestly seems fast but evil. He's struggling a lot on the straights, in the corners, all over the circuits. It's not looking very good for him. Also of note, Torpedo has track position and clean air, and tires are slightly fresher. Now, you say the mediums will probably last to the end of this race. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be the case, but whether or not tires are going to last, the medium tires will last to the end of the race or not, Torpedo has a tire advantage. Fresh air, tires are 2 laps fresher. Track position, this is about as good of a position Torpedo can get when it comes to driver versus driver fight. Again, though, Torpedo needs to somehow, I don't know if he needs to start backing up Matrix or something through the corners or what, but he needs to bring Frisbee up into the fray so Frisbee can start fighting with Matrix and kind of drag that Alfa Romeo farther back in the grid. Simple overtake. Frisbee now falls to 4th. Now he'll have DRS on the following lap, but the Haas's straight line speed, or lack thereof, significantly harming him. The good news, though, for Frisbee is that it's a good 6 seconds before you get into the Mercedes in 5th and 6th. The bad news, though, is that the Mercedes are bad fast in the straight line. Are you sure? I was going to take my top fuel dragster here, mate. Now I have to get him up with a different plan. Alright, well, Torpedo still holds the lead. The gap's opened up just a bit more between 1st and 2nd this time. They're about 0.8 seconds right before they come onto the front straightaway. Farther back down the grid, though, there is an interesting fight that's going to take place shortly here for 10th and 11th. Ryan Hurricane has 10th. Jigsaw wants back into the points. Ocean Lion is paying now 6th position. There may be damage to that car that he's taken somewhere. Here comes Jigsaw on speed on Ryan Hurricane for 10th position. Easy DRS overtake. Frisbee still within a second of Gabo right now. So the Haas seems to be moderately competent throughout Sector 2. It's just slow primarily in the straights. Oh, he's hit the wall in the castle section. It may not look like it, but irregardless, that knocks him well out of a second from Gabo. And although it's still another 7 seconds between him and Dave Ewart, it's still not going to help him whatsoever, because now with no DRS help, we're going to see the actual naked speed of the Haas. And it's not something to be very impressed at. Matrix has fallen just barely. Matrix keeps falling out of DRS range in the little spot between the detection zone and the start of DRS itself. He just is able to utilize DRS to get back into the range of a second of Torpedo when they come down the main straight, but it's plain Torpedo is just a bit faster than Matrix over the course of a full lap. Again though, Gabo is third, but Gabo is 3.5 seconds out from this second place driver, and Gabo has a time penalty. Torpedo needs Matrix to fight with other people. Gabo alone isn't going to do it. A bit over halfway through this event, Jigsaw, I definitely will have tires that will last him to the end of this race, I think. I'm not going to say Jigsaw is in a race-winning position, but I think he's in a very good position to possibly walk out here with a podium, despite incidents earlier, simply because those tires will last to the end. As I say that, he just taps the wall a bit there. But now he has fresher tires than everyone else on track, except for Ocean Line back there in 12th. He can use that speed to close in and try and overtake other people. And if he's able to overtake Zola in the McLaren, that speaks well for the Alpine's at least moderate competence in a straight line. At the front, something's gone wrong with Torpedo. He's lost a bunch of time, and Matrix is actually closed in on your race leader. This is the closest they've been for several laps. As they come into the DRS range, it's 6/10, but Matrix with DRS should start being able to close this down. He's not closing it down as fast as I'd think. Ooh! Goes wide in one. Well, I don't think so, because we'd also be seeing Gabo closing on this group. I think if anything, Matrix is up to the pace as now trying to put pressure on Torpedo. The top two are still pulling on Gabo in third. Jigsaw on Gillebin. Couldn't get by him. They got right on top of each other in the braking zone, but the Alpine couldn't pass the McLaren. Now he's going to get another shot here down the second DRS straight. He's going to have to commit to a move early. Gillebin defends the inside. Jigsaw wants the outside. Neck and neck. A little bit of contact, but Jigsaw does get it. Alright, back at the front of the grid. Matrix 7/10 out from Torpedo, so the gap is starting to extend just a bit more. But still, the Alfa Romeo is within DRS range and can still continue to put pressure on Torpedo. And they're still both more than 4 seconds, about 4.5 seconds ahead of Gabo. Yeah, this is true, because we are now under a long green flag stint, and the entire field, until you get to about 8th and back, have all really spread out. I think the likelihood of a yellow flag, while not gone, has been significantly reduced now. Ryan Hurricane actually is barreling down on Zola, so we do have a Haas trying to make something happen to a McLaren. That's interesting, but Zola also has DRS on his teammate. Oh no, and Zola's pinning! Zola took damage somewhere, I guess. Yep. And that will promote 19 back up into the points-paying positions, but 19 is on soft tires that he'll have to pit off of sooner rather than later. So I think the real beneficiary of that is going to be Ocean Line in the second Mercedes. He will eventually filter back into the points-paying spots. Meanwhile, at the fight for the lead, Matrix hangs out in about 3/4 of a second outside of the AlphaTauri. He seems to be competent enough in Sector 2 that he's able to close the gap down just a bit. Now the gap extending once more, about 8/10. Alpha seems to be good entering the corner, but exiting it, he seems to lose a bit. 8-10s is hanging about between 3/4 and 4/5. And Matrix will have DRS again that he can utilize to stay within touch of Torpedo. Farther back, Jigsaw continues his charge up the grid with these newer tires. He has caught Shelby Spark now. And with tires that are less than half the age of Shelby's, and they have, you know, one less spin on them, I think it should be an easy overtake. That's it! Jalopin! I don't know, but that car is destroyed in the middle of the racing line. Ocean Lion's aware of it, he'll avoid. It's a full course safety car. Shelby Spark is the real beneficiary of it, as is Ryan Hurricane. They're both able to come into the pits. 19 will come into the pits, so a lot of drivers will be able to capitalize on this and maybe turn this race on its head.
Absolutely, this is the turning point in the race now. Hurricane, Sparks, and 19 all in any incidents.
Well, what we saw from Jigsaw earlier made it pretty clear that the softs aren't very competent here. All right, coming in the party right now is B-Tech Jalebin. Jalebin, go ahead, include your audio. Big accident on the front stretch. What happened?
Well, I mean, the tires were starting to come to the end of their life. I think I was just pushing a little too hard to try and keep pace. I tried to pull Mike along with me and just lost the back end coming through the last little section there, and yeah, big hit with the wall.
All right, nasty impact. Obviously, this is not your normal seat. Do you think we'll be able to see you again, though, in the next few weeks for realistic?
I hope to. You know, it's tough with my, you know, my real life schedule to race on Saturdays, but when I have the opportunity, I definitely try to get in the seat and get some track time and, you know, have some fun.
All right, well, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. It's a shame to see you out of the race like this.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
All right, well, the conga line of woes for McLaren continues this season. Zola, the only McLaren still on track, and he is back there in the 11th position. Gabo stayed out under this safety car, and he's going to inherit the race lead now. Interesting choice, to say the least. But he now will inherit the race lead. Frisbee in the Haas camp, they have thrown on soft tires for him. So that they have also changed the front wing, so he must have taken damage somewhere that we didn't take note of. And Frisbee is now going to be in the 5th position behind Jigsaw on track. Jigsaw also not changing tires. He knows that he can take the current set of rubber he has and run it to the end of this race. Dave Ewart is in pit lane. They have just replaced tires on him, so he now has fresh mediums. But the entire field is now going to be kind of gathered up. It's going to take a while for the entire field to gather up. I'm probably not going to go green until lap 33 or so. But the entire field is going to get gathered up. Only one driver has a time penalty. That's your race leader. Unlike what we saw at Catalunya, where time penalties really decide everything, here it looks like it's actually going to be proper race position that's going to decide where you're in the position. How do I want to say this properly? It looks like your actual track position is going to be what decides your final race position instead of just time penalties here.
Yeah, there is that, because take into account, Gabo's the only driver that has any form of track limit penalties. I mean, the rest of the drivers probably have the odd warning here and there, but apart from that, nobody else has any track limit penalties.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This is a street circuit that, unlike, for instance, Singapore, where it feels like there's so many areas that you can invalidate a lap at, here, the proper racing line is very much within the normal corners and straights on the circuit. There's not a whole lot of areas that you can go off circuit and accidentally gain time at or anything like that. It's very straightforward. It's one of the few positives that this circuit has.
There is that, yeah, and it has often delivered an exciting race over the years. I mean, just look at what happened in the 2021 season with what happened towards the end of the race. Verstappen with a puncture that put him out of the race. Lawrence Stroll with a puncture that put him out of the race. And there was a lot of concern regarding the tyre wear around the track and the tyre pressures. on the tyres as well. And then on the restart, immortal last words from Lewis Hamilton. This is a marathon, not a sprint, and he overshoots his braking point at turn 1, and then Checo Perez is the one that comes out as the race winner.
Yeah, very interesting and remarkable event in the sense that neither of your title contenders walked out of that race with any sort of points advantage or disadvantage, gained or lost. Very bizarre. It's almost on the level of the 1976 British GP, in which there's so much stuff that goes on that you kind of ignore it in the sense of that season as a whole, because it almost doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah, absolutely. There was so, like you said, there was so much that happened during that 1976 season, portrayed brilliantly in the film Rush, and it's overall one of the best sports films that I've ever seen.
And once again, I want to say, bless the families of Nikki Lauda and James Hunt, two absolute legends that left very distinctly different, but very distinct marks on the sport. Nikki Lauda, arguably one of the greatest drivers to ever grace a Formula One car cockpit, winning 3 titles with 2 different teams, and then also was one of the instrumental parts to build Mercedes into the monster team that it is now. And then James Hunt, after his title, although he did take home a few more wins, didn't have a whole lot of similar success in the car. Hunt really turned his life around later on as a broadcaster, and a very hard-speaking, down-to-earth broadcaster, willing to, call out bullcrap wherever he saw it, whether it was against Bernie Ecclestone, whether it was against just management in general, against drivers, against cars, whatever. Finally got his life turned around in the last few years as well, before finally passing away way too young by Eddie Mark. It's a shame to see him out, and this is a little bit chaos as Gabo really backs up the grid as we're coming to the green flag. Gabo really trying to abuse and try to upset the entire field behind, because he knows that the more and more chaos that happens behind, the better off he'll be when they finally go green. How does Torpedo and Matrix respond to Gabo's shenanigans?
Well, I'm on board with Torpedo right now. Let's see what happens. Because remember, Gabo didn't hit. Everybody else has, effectively.
Green flag should be coming, and there we are. Gabo straightens the car out. He's underway. Torpedo's already there. He's within a 1/5 of a second. He's right there behind. He looks to the inside, looks to the outside, falls back in line. Here comes the LP Jigsaw, sliding by Matrix. Matrix loses the position. That is what Torpedo wants to see.
How crucial is that going to be for Torpedo's hunt for the championship? 19, meanwhile, gets himself ahead of Shelby Sparks into P9.
And now Zola is going to try and get by Shelby Sparks as well. He looks to the inside, looks to the outside of the Alfa Romeo. Can't make either of them stick. Under braking, he's going to try and lunge. Can't make it stick. Jigsaw now falls back. The tires, I think, are just falling off on him. He gets alongside Frisbee as he's around right in front of the field. And the Mercedes have nowhere to go. They go into him. The Haas gets run into him behind by the Williams. And Jigsaw falls to 10th. Zola also comes to a complete stop in order to avoid Jigsaw.
Yeah, a lot of carnage happening once again. 19 still keeping ahead of Chubby into P7. Hurricane down to P9. What on earth is going on around here, folks?
Oh, Chubby lunges on 19! Right before the castle section. You do not usually see overtakes there, but Chubby absolutely sent it, and he's going to hold it.
How on... where are they getting these audacious moves from?
I think Baku has an effect where it makes drivers think they're 25 pounds. Oh, big instant! And that's gonna be 19! He's gonna have a massive exit! He's got speed! He's alongside, but he has no front wing! He's into the wall! He knocks Chubby into the wall! They're still side by side! I don't know if 19 realizes that the front wing is gone off that car!
Oh my word, that's an absolute disaster for Chubby! And now he's gonna put Jigsaw back into the point! But I think Zola has got damage as well from everything that was happening in front of him! Torpedo, meanwhile, while all that's happening, Torpedo gets himself ahead of Gabo into the race lead. Matrix P3 at the moment.
Davey War also has to pit after he made contact in that instant where Jigsaw got turned around at. So nearly half the grid having to pit. Actually, half the grid that's left has to pit on that restart due to just shenanigans. That is kind of the reason why I don't speak very highly of this circuit normally. But Torpedo now into the race lead. Gabo second, Matrix third. This is what Torpedo needs, although Matrix is still putting pressure on Gabo. And there is Frisbee there in fourth, still willing to upset the balance of power a little bit, if necessary. Brian Hurricane now falls to dead last. Also, everyone who pitted, well, almost everyone who pitted, threw on soft tire compounds, so they think they can make those softs last these last 17 laps to the end of this race and use a pace advantage to close in. It's a bold strategy, Pat. Let's see if it plays out.
Yeah, but not that it's going to matter much at the moment. Hurricane did get a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
All right, Matrix has a run on Gabo. Runs into his back! Runs the Williams into the wall! Is there damage on Gabo's car? I don't see any, but Matrix is there behind Gabo and is putting immense pressure on the Williams. All right, here they are. They're through the high-speed sections. Now coming to the straight. Matrix trying to go around the inside of Gabo, neck and neck, side by side. It looks like the Williams will not have DRS to defend against Matrix. So here comes Frisbee. Frisbee's faster than both of them, but he's not going to send it 3 wide. He's a little bit smarter than that. But in the process, he plays it too safe and can't get by either of them.
Yeah, now here comes the DRS. Gabo's going to have DRS on Matrix, which is going to mitigate the DRS that Frisbee has on Gabo.
Gabo inside of Matrix.
And
he gets it!
That's a massively late launch from Frisbee. How he didn't take Matrix out is beyond me.
Oh, Matrix into the side of Gabo now, and Haas is by him. The Haas of Frisbee is by him now.
Oh, Torpedo's gonna have a massive Cheshire Cat grin on his face at this point.
The gap between first and second is now opened up to 4 seconds. Frisbee is ahead of Matrix right now. Matrix, though, will have DRS on both of these drivers when they come back down the front straight. Ooh, I think Gabo may have just tapped the wall at Castle with the rear of that car. It backed Frisbee back up to Matrix again.
Yeah, this is a very, very tasty battle for second place. Well, for the podium positions, effectively. Ocean Line has had to come back in again. Not sure why. That's another set of soft tires. He'll be going to the end.
All right, Frisbee has DRS. He's slower than these two in a straight line without DRS, but with DRS, he should be able to pull at least even, if not a little bit ahead of the Williams. Matrix, though, is going to be, without a doubt, faster than both of them. Is Matrix going to go hard and try to overtake both of them going into one? That's going to be the question.
It'd be very ambitious if he pulls it off. There goes Frisbee. Matrix on the back of Gabo. He's not going to be able to make the move at the moment, but he might have a crack on the run up to turn 3.
The thing is, Gabo is still there behind Frisbee, so Gabo can still utilize DRS again as a defense against Matrix a little bit longer.
Yes, that's very true. And there it is, DRS activated there. And
Sector 3, instant, Dave Ewart's out. Oh, wow, Shelby Spark very nearly hit him at full speed. Ryan Hurricane nearly hits him. Ocean Lion now is going to be back in the points. Full course safety car once again.
This means now anyone that finishes the race now will be guaranteed points.
This event.
And this
is not what Torpedo wanted to see, though.
This may just allow Gabo to come in and effectively get a free pit stop and only lose a couple of positions on the track. He'll be able to come in for softs now.
Also, on the same note, Frisbee is on soft tires that likely are not going to make it to the end of this race. Frisbee could also elect to come in, throw on another set of softs as well. And if you're the leader, if you're a Torpedo, do you consider throwing on soft tires? Because if you come in, you put on soft tires, all Matrix theoretically would have to do is stay out. He then has the position advantage over you again. You may have faster tires, but track position is very important here. This is going to be really interesting to see if anyone does pit near the front of this grid here.
Yeah, there is that to take into account. But the big question is Gabo actually going to come in to the pits?
You have to come in if you're Gabo. 20 lap board mediums, and on a restart this way the event, there's no point. And the answer for Torpedo, yes, they're pitting in the AlphaTauri camp.
Is Frisbee going to follow suit? Yes, he is. Oh, that's
drive
huge.
through.
That is
And
huge!
And now it's Matrix's turn to start Cheshire Cat smiling, because with Gabo's time penalty and with Frisbee now having to serve a drive-through, this means that Matrix is going to overall be promoted back into second position, and that's if he doesn't get back by Torpedo again.
Yeah, there is that. So now this is where the attrition is going to come into play, because this is our 6th full course safety car at the moment.
I think that's the last one that we'll see today as well.
I would imagine so, unless we have another massive pile-up towards the end of the race.
Well, it's not just that. I don't think you're able to see more than 5 or 6 full safety cars in a race in this game. At least I've never seen more than 6. I could be wrong, but I've never seen more than 6.
Yeah, I think 6 is the absolute limit in the game.
Well, both Haas's are in the points-paying positions, and you will get points if you finish at least 90% of this race. It's a 51-lap race, so if you can make it and you can get about halfway through lap 46, you will make points. So realistically, if you're in any of these guys' positions, not including your championship contenders, I think the goal is make it to lap 46. If you can make it to lap 46, you're at least guaranteed 1 point minimum. At the worst. The counterpoint to that, though, the entire field is now going to be gathered back up once more, and with the exception of Frisbee, that is, because Frisbee's going to have to serve a drive-through penalty, obviously. But with that in mind, just do whatever you can, go ham, go bonsai, try to make the people ahead make mistakes, do whatever you can, because, again, no time penalties are going to really help you. This is the exact opposite of what we saw at Catalunya. With the exception of Gabo, track position is king right now.
Yeah, that's one of the key things, especially at this late stage in the race. You want to have that track position without any penalties.
Well, this is going to be a long safety car. We're probably not going to go green again until lap 39. Shelby Spark still has yet to catch the back of the grid. One kind of sad pro-con mixture for the Mercedes camp. They had 2 cars still in the event. One of them crashed out. The other one, Ocean Lion, was so close to going a lap down, though. This effectively keeps Ocean Lion in the lead of this race. And Frisbee pitting now. Is Frisbee trying to serve a drive-through penalty under safety car?
He can't. You can't serve the drive-through under the safety car.
Yeah, you're right. He's coming in to do something else.
It's another set of sauce, but that's putting him right down into P8. Scratch that, P9 as his teammate gets ahead of him.
And he'll still have to do another drive-through, irregardless, once we go green. Don't know what the strategy is there in the Haas camp.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he went in either, but either way, like I said, you can't serve a drive-through penalty under the safety car.
Well, right now it's just a matter of how long will it take Ocean Lion to catch the back of the grid. He's about 17 seconds out from Frisbee, who is 9th right now. Interestingly enough, we still have both Haas's on track, we still have both Alfa Romeos on track, and we still have both Williams on track. So, for those 3 teams, this could end up being a good manufacturer's points day, at least. Matrix still hanging out in 3rd, and the driver between himself and Torpedo, Gabo, still has that time penalty as well, so that will promote Matrix back into 2nd. As it stands right now, yes, Torpedo will win the race, but he'll only close up about 7-8 points on Matrix. He needs to be closing by much more than that if he wants to seriously make a run for the championship right now. This is still playing relatively well into Matrix's hands.
Absolutely, because it's going to keep him with a very sizable advantage over Torpedo in the Drivers' Championship safety car in this lap. So just to recap the order as we get ready to start lap 39, folks. There's Torpedo in the lead, Gabo in 2nd, Matrix in 3rd, Zola in 4th, 19 in 5th, Jigsaw 6th, Shelby Spark 7th, Hurricane 8th, Frisbee 9th, and Ocean Lion rounding up the top 10.
And when we go green, it will be with 13 laps to go here. Torpedo really bouncing up the field behind him, trying to make as much chaos as possible. Boy, is it causing chaos. 19 and Jigsaw almost overtake each other before we even get going. Torpedo's off. Gabo's off. Matrix is right there behind Gabo. Will he make a dive into one? Ryan Hurricane has to pit, and Frisbee has to join him. So both Haas's come into the pit. Now Frisbee's going to serve his drive-through, but Hurricane must have taken damage or something.
Yeah, he must have done, because that's definitely not what the Haas establishment would have wanted. Jigsaw getting himself ahead of Shelby into P6. Meanwhile, Hurricane is having to go on to mediums now because he's out of sauce.
Matrix hanging out in third. Zola has recovered from instance earlier to get back into the fourth position. But the McLaren has been fast but very, very touchy, to say the least. He can't afford to be making any silly decisions or silly mistakes right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He can't afford any slip-ups now in this late stage of the race.
Gabo and Matrix are both, without a doubt, faster than Torpedo, going through Castle and through Sector 2. All of Torpedo's speed basically comes in Sector 1 and Sector 3, it would appear. Matrix seems to be really, really competent, but he's not been able to just walk by Gabo at will. He almost needs DRS to be able to make an overtake stick, and DRS won't come in for another 2 laps. So Zola's there in fourth. Zola could still be a bit of a wild card in this fight, but he's not quite keeping up with the top 3 right now. So I think it's going to look like it's going to be Torpedo first, Matrix second, and there won't really be any serious ground gained by Torpedo in the title fight.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go, Matrix, here he goes. He's going for a run. This is going to be into turn 2 now. Gabo tries to cover the inside line, and he does brilliantly.
The Matrix is faster down the straight. The Williams moves to the inside to defend the inside line. Matrix follows him in the draft, goes around the outside, or at least will look to the outside. This compromises the Williams in the following straight. And now going into 4. Nope, Matrix is not going to be able to pull alongside the Williams here.
It's well played there from Gabo.
Farther back, Jigsaw is closing back in on Shelby and trying to put pressure on the other Alfa Romeo car once again. Zola has lost touch with the top 3, it would appear, as well, falling more than a second off of Matrix alone.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a 3-way battle now for the race lead.
Realistically, 2-way because of Gabo's time penalty.
Oh yeah, there is that. Unless Torpedo and Matrix pick up penalties of their own.
Down the main straight at speed. Torpedo already starting to pull a bit of a gap on Gabo just with sheer speed alone. Matrix hanging within the draft of the Williams, but is actually losing small amounts of time, even with basically getting what would be double the draft. Thing is, now when they come onto the back straightaway, Gabo will have DRS on Torpedo, and he'll be able to utilize that as a defense against Matrix. And that will also enable second and third to pull even farther away from Zola. Now Shelby Spark in 6 gets a time penalty of his own. Yeah. And Frisbee just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting to see if he can keep that. Gabo not able to stay in the DRS range at the moment. He manages to get back in, but he's like on the borderline of keeping in the DRS. Matrix still keeping within touching distance of Gabo.
And Zola just continues to be just out of contention for those positions. Although the way it looks like Zola might still be able to finish third just due to the way that time penalties will play out. there's also the fight for 5th, 6th, and 7th as 19, Shelby Spark, and Jigsaw all continue to run right on top of each other right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But Chubby has got track limit penalties to take into account as well.
Oh, is there something wrong with 19?
What on earth has happened there?
I don't know, he suddenly broke way earlier. It let Shelby by, but it's now put him in a position where he's side by side with the Alpine. Jigsaw has to back way out of it to not wreck himself and Jigsaw. So 19 holds on to 6th, but that works out well in Shelby's favor. Now 19 gets DRS, closes back in, and barely overtakes the Alfa Romeo. What kind of shenanigans is going on here?
I don't know, but whatever's happened, Chubby Sparks has just lost 2 positions in just 1 corner.
That's what not having DRS will do to a man, but meanwhile at the front, Gabo right there behind Torpedo. I think Torpedo is trying to back Gabo and Matrix up into Zola, but it's not working. Zola continues to fall off.
Zola struggling to keep up with these top 3 at the moment.
Ocean Lion also had to come back into the pits. He's got another set of soft tires on, but and he's only 2.6 seconds out from Ryan Hurricane, so he might be able to get by that Haas before the end of this race. Ooh, big twitch by the Williams.
Yeah, that could be pivotal.
Matrix has speed, Matrix has momentum. Does he go for a move here?
Gabo's defended the racing line there.
Sector 2, Frisbee's out!
Oh, that's the castle section. It's another victory of the castle section tonight. But no safety
No
car.
yellow flag.
There is
Ryan
yellow.
Hurricane, his teammates coming to it at speed. They better get that Haas out of the way.
Is he going to affect
It's
it?
not.
No, there's enough gap. There's enough of a gap for them to get through. And Frisbee, the current X1 champion, is out of the race. Here comes Matrix into 2nd place. There's not much that Gabo can do about that. And now the advantage is with Matrix because it's minimizing the damage that Torpedo can do in the championship.
Going to try real quickly and get Frisbee in here one more time. Didn't want to have to talk to him again under these scenarios, but seems like that's how it's going to be. Shelby is out!
Oh no! Where was that?
And he's not the only one.
Where
There's,
was
I
that?
think, 19 may have taken damage in it as well.
That was on the exit of turn 1.
Alright, well, coming into the party now is Frisbee. Frisbee, go ahead, include your audio. Big accident, and you're so close to the 90% part of this race. What happened?
I was just pushing too hard because I had that glitch that doesn't show your belt there and things, so I got the drive-through, and then I had to serve that, and then I was just annoyed, so I was pushing, and then I died, made a mistake. Haas is too hard to push around here.
Alright, well, you led the 2nd most laps of today's race, though, so you absolutely had competence and pace around here to some extent. Do you think you'll be able to rebound next week, though?
What race is next week?
Isn't it... What is it? Is it Singapore? No, we've already done Singapore. What is next week?
I'll double check the calendar, bear with me.
I'm checking.
If it was Singapore, I'd dominate. That's a big steal.
Friday the 9th? No,
It's France.
March 19th. Oh,
It's France.
Le Castellet.
Okay,
Why not?
really
See
good
what
at
the track.
France, but the Haas won't be, so maybe. I might be able to pull off a good start like today or something. Hopefully like.
Alright, well, either way, shame to see you crashed out. Looked like it was the same way that happened in qualifying
Yep.
for you as well. Alright, well, now we also want to go ahead and turn our focus to Shelby Spark. Shelby crashed out right after Frisbee, just a few laps short of the 90% mark. But it looked like you were having a good run. What happened that took you out there?
It's just, I probably already know what happened, but I was going around the outside and dude just put me in a wall. So he just didn't leave me any space, just put me in a wall. Happened to me a couple times. Had to back out so I wouldn't die. Finally went for it and he just put me in a wall. So me and Jigsaw both were there and saw it. So hopefully something gets resolved about that, because all I've seen this race is just dirty driving. I don't know if this is a one-off race or something, but I just got taken out like 3 times by the same dude. So.
Alright, well, do you think, will we see you next week? It's great to see you come up to realistic. Will we see you next week?
I don't know if I get put in the car, hopefully. But, yeah. It'd be fun to race again. I like France. Fun track. Just hope the same doesn't happen like this week, so. This was abysmal driving. I don't know if this happens every week, but, you know.
Alright, well, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. It's a shame to see you out so early, mate. Alright, we turn our focus back. Gabo has just gotten by Matrix using some DRS shenanigans down the straight. Matrix trying to fight back, but I think the Alfa Romeo might be fading just a bit. But again, with the time penalties, Matrix is still in position to finish second here.
Yeah, there is that to take into account. As long as Matrix can keep within that 3-second window, he'll be fine.
Torpedo looks like, I'm not going to say he's unassailable, but it looks like he is in the best position to walk out of here with this race win. We only have 8 cars left, and Jigsaw just gets by Ryan Hurricane. They both have DRS on Ocean Lion, and the Haas trying to get by. They're side by side for 7th! And Jigsaw barely holds off Ryan Hurricane for just a little bit longer. Jigsaw will have DRS on Ocean Lion down the straight now, and Ryan Hurricane will have DRS as well. There might be damage to that Haas though, because he's way off pace now compared to the Alpine.
Yeah, here we go. Here comes Jigsaw on Ocean Line. Into turn 3.
Contact!
Slight bit of contact there.
Got him!
And he's through. Jigsaw into P6.
And now they're all closing in on 19 with speed. So Jigsaw might even be able to steal a 5th place position.
Yeah, very true.
Oh, Ryan! Incident! It's the castle section. Same area that his teammate had it. Now he'll be able to continue. And the front wing's gone, but he'll be able to continue at least.
Yeah, that's the crucial thing to take into account. We're on lap 46 now. Still a 3-way battle for this race lead at the moment. Not taking Gabo's penalty into account.
What in the... 19 just jumped off the throttle. It held Jigsaw up and it let Ocean Lion get by both of them. So Jigsaw and 19 playing some really strange games on the racetrack, to say the least.
Yeah, very strange indeed. But I think 19's at a point where his soft tires have reached the end of their lifespan, so he may not have any choice but to come in.
Here comes Jigsaw with speed and DRS on Ocean Line. Dives to the inside. Here comes 19. Streamline for position. He climbs into the Mercedes.
That was never gonna work.
What was that kind of move?
That was never gonna work, 19. I'm sorry. That was never gonna work. That was way too ambitious a move to try and go for 2 of them from that far back. That was just never gonna work in a month of Sundays.
I'm honestly baffled, because even if 19 was, not 19, even if the Mercedes of Ocean Line wasn't there, 19 was gonna sail that Williams right into the wall. He was bound to hit either a car or a wall. There was no getting around that.
Yeah, I think that overtake attempt was just a bit too dangerous on 19's part. I wouldn't be too surprised if he gets a penalty for it.
Well, at the front, the top 3 are now all within a second of each other at this point. Gabo is right there behind Torpedo. Does he make a move? He looks to the inside, takes the spot. So there's your lead change. Torpedo, though, gets a good exit out of one, comes back to the inside. Drag race. Torpedo has DRS, though. Gabo does not. And I think they're trying to keep Matrix behind, but Matrix has DRS. He'll follow Torpedo through. Matrix goes back into second. Gabo wants to keep in this fight. Zola has just pitted out 4th. I didn't notice, but Zola's pitted out 4th and dropped some more. But it doesn't matter now, because the gap between Matrix and Zola is 24 seconds. Matrix is still going to walk out here with second. as long as he can bring that car home. Is there damage to the front wing of his car? Same thing with Gabo. Is there damage to Gabo's front wing as well?
I don't see any damage at the moment, but if there is, that is going to be a massive hammer blow for Gabo's chances of getting a podium here.
I don't think so. I think Gabo is in a position that if he doesn't have damage, he'll be in a good position. Again, 21 seconds between 3rd and 4th right now because Zola has pitted. I'm guessing Zola's going to try and go for fastest lap point. That kind of gap's not going to evaporate unless someone in the top 3 has to pit and repair front wing damage.
Yeah, I mean, whether both of them have damage or not remains to be seen. Gabo now 2 seconds behind. And
19 is out of it!
And then there was 7.
And it continues to the attrition. I think this race has been sponsored by Rat Poison, official food product for the Flowers in the Attic movie, and for today's race at Baku.
Yeah, 19 was right on the racing line there, but at the end of the day, he's out of the race. Matrix 1.4 seconds behind. He's starting to struggle to try and keep up with the Williams ahead of him.
If there could be small amounts of damage, maybe not something that we can visually see, but there might be some damage to that Alfa Romeo. If there is, and he falls more than 3 seconds out from Gabo, that would be ideal for Torpedo. But I don't think the damage is that bad. I think Matrix will still come home second when you factor in time penalties as well.
I wouldn't be so sure on that one because he's starting to fall back from Gabo though. He's starting to fall back from Gabo now. He's almost 2 seconds behind, and if Gabo keeps going at this rate, he might be able to keep that second place despite the penalties.
Well, it's 4 laps to go. Actually, closer to like 3.5 laps to go. Matrix is still within 2 seconds.
Meanwhile, Zola...
Alfa Romeo doesn't look as strong as it did earlier. I will agree there. It doesn't look as strong as it did earlier.
Yeah, meanwhile, Zola is really closing in. He's, with how late he's pitted, he's going to have a crack at the fastest lap of the race.
Well, whatever has happened, we know for a fact that both Gabo and Matrix have fallen off, because now Torpedo is just walking out away from both of them. My guess is that Torpedo kind of let the 2 of them catch up, and he tried to do whatever he could to try and get them all fighting amongst each other in the hopes that something like this would happen, in the hopes that something would happen that would sabotage or harm Matrix's race. The gap between 2nd and 3rd is now extended to 2.5 seconds. It's 3 laps to go at the line. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying it's looking a little more likely that Matrix might fall to a 3rd place finish here.
Yeah, which will be a huge advantage for Torpedo in the championship hunt.
Yeah, Torpedo came into this race. He got the pole position, walking out here with the win as well. You get a point for pole, right?
Yeah, a point for pole position, a point for the fastest lap inside the top 10, and a point for the fastest lap outside the top 10, regardless of where you finish. If you finish like 8th, but you have the fastest lap inside the top 10, yet somebody that's 12th has the fastest lap outside the top 10, which is also the fastest lap of the race, you'll still get the points.
Does that even apply if no one finishes outside the top 10? Like in this scenario here, everyone from Dave Ewart down, they're not finishing the race?
I think if they don't finish the race, I don't think they're going to get the points for the fastest lap outside the top 10. Hang on a second, Matrix has made up a full second on Gabo. What on earth has happened?
Does Gabo take damage somewhere? Because now he's made up 2 seconds. He's closing with vicious speed on the Williams. The Williams is in the wall. That's it for Matrix. It's perfect. He's going to walk out here with 2nd then.
Oh, that's a massive hammer blow for Gabo.
For Zola, though, this is great news because this means that Gabo is going to have to pit. Zola's going to walk out here with the podium. And for Matrix, he might be 6.5 seconds out of the race lead, but he's going to finish 2nd by the looks of it. And that will pretty much negate most of the points advantage that Torpedo's going to get, because Torpedo would only get what? Let me think here. 25 to 18, a 7-point gap. Torpedo also got pole, so that'd be an 8-point gap. Coming into this race, it was 45 points in Matrix's favor. If they leave here, it would be 37 points in Matrix's favor.
Yeah.
With only like 6 races left, Matrix still has over a full race worth of points. I think Matrix still is the favorite for a championship.
Yeah, 6 races to go after tonight, so Torpedo will still need to make up on average 6 points per race from here on out if he's going to have any chance of taking the title away from Matrix.
Yeah, at this point, what Torpedo really needs is he just needs Matrix to not finish a race. He needs Matrix to DNF. Otherwise, it's not happening. Matrix, and I've said it several times already, Matrix just needs to Matrix almost needs to take a XRL flavor kind of style approach to these races. Just keep earning a few points every race. Nothing against Torpedo, but Torpedo definitely does not have the car that can just walk out and run away with races all across the season. Torpedo's not going to win every single race going to the end. For Matrix, all he needs to do, if he can just keep coming home with, 2 to 15 points every race, I think he's going to lock up this title.
Yeah, there is that. Gabo, and that's going to be another penalty for him, and that's going to drop him down to potentially 6th at the moment.
Yeah, because Jigsaw and Ocean Lion are both within 6 seconds of Gabo. Also, Ocean Lion is within DRS range of the Alpine, who's in 5th, so we could see one more fight for position, because white flag is in the air. Ocean Lion has DRS, and that Mercedes, we know it's faster than the Alpine in a straight line. Can he do anything to him?
Yeah, who knows? Time will tell as we head down the straight for the penultimate time with these two.
Here we are. Now we're seeing the Mercedes closing with speed, down within half a second about as they cross the line. 4/10, a third, about a quarter, but can't get much closer than that. But the Mercedes will have DRS on the next straight. This will be the last chance he'll be able to use a DRS overtake. He can't do it there. He'll have to hope that the Alpine makes a mistake. Doesn't matter. Jigsaw excellently excellently exited corner 2 and will maintain the track position over Ocean Lion. So I think Jigsaw will still walk out here with 5th.
Yeah, that exit from Jigsaw was all he needed to be able to get those extra couple of points in terms of his position in the championship.
Meanwhile, at the front, XRL Torpedo has led the most laps today. Started from the pole, was involved in some incidents early on, but recovered. Realistically, everyone who has been on track has been involved in some incident today. But Torpedo's recovered. Got back in the lead, has led the most laps pretty much the entire latter half of this race. As they come to the line, XRL Torpedo will take home the victory and will try to close in a bit on XRL Matrix and keep his championship hopes alive. But second place, XRL Matrix, despite absolutely hating this car and feeling that his season was over with this move, once again will defend his points lead, will come home second, and third place in the McLaren, which had nothing but accident after accident at the start of today's race. They'll come home with a third place finish. Fourth place is going to be close, but it looks like it's going to work in Gabo's favor. Fifth place, here comes Jigsaw.
And Gabo gets the fastest lap at the end.
Yeah, Zola's not going to be very happy with that, but Gabo gets fastest lap. Jigsaw comes home 5th, Ocean Lion 6th, and Ryan Hurricane in the Haas will bring home, how many is that? Is that supposed to be 6 points, I think?
4, 6. Yeah, 6 points for Hurricane.
Yeah. It's interesting. Normally we're used to Frisbee being the one bringing home the most points for the Haas team, but today it was Ryan Hurricane. Well, we're going to go ahead and try to invite our race winner and our podium finishers into the party. A very, very interesting run to the end, to say the least, here at Baku. I'm kind of glad this race is over, though, because, my God, this circuit is chaos. And I don't mind that sometimes, but sometimes it also just gets excessive as well. But anyways, now we see the Haas cross the line, so with that in mind, the race officially comes to an end. We're going to try and get Torpedo in here one more time. There we are. All right, and coming into the party are our podium finishers, as you see them jumping onto the podium now. We'll start with our race winner, XRL Torpedo. Torpedo, you started on the pole, but like everyone else, got involved in some incidents early on, recovered, walked off with his victory. Walk us through the race from your perspective.
Dry, it's just a good race. Well, in the dry.
All right. Well, you walk out here. You close by 8 points on XRL Matrix in the championship fight with 6 races to go. Do you think you have a chance of taking the title from him? Alright, well, thanks for being willing to jump in. Congratulations, taking it from the pole to a victory here. Now I want to talk to our second place finisher, XRL Matrix. Matrix, very, very rough time in qualifying. Didn't even make it to the final round. Rough start to the race, involved in incidents. Still, despite all of that, you came home second and maintained a vast majority of the points that you had coming into today's race. What do you have to say about your run today?
The start was a mess. The rain doesn't help, obviously, this tight circuit, but people are just not braking. They don't care. And that was my opinion of it. Apart from that, the rest of the race was okay. As soon as it went dry, it was fine, but...
It was one person, mate. And it was a new driver that reserved today.
There's a few... But yeah, happy with overall finish. Second place is decent.
Alright, well, do you think you can still lock up the title between now and the season finale?
I don't know, like, part of me thinks that AlphaTauri's too fast to torpedo. But part of me doesn't, because I was catching him, but at the end, he just went away, it was gone, it was done.
Alright, last question. Did you take... You and Gabo were fighting pretty intensely for second there in those closing laps, and it looked like you two made some contact. Did you take damage in that instant, or
I took
did
damage,
you just kind of back off? Okay,
Nah, I took damage.
Alright, well, kind of a shame that worked. Well, kind of a shame that's how it came out, but you still came home second at least, so...
Yeah, happy with that.
Alright, now we want to go ahead and turn our focus to our third place finisher, XRL Zola. Zola, what a monstrosity of a race for the McLaren team, and yet in the end you come home and brain home third for the boys. What do you have to say?
Why do people bin their cars in front of me? 4 times I had a car parked right in front of me after it's crashed. That's why I was caught in incidents, and that's why I had damage. Originally, the first time, then I broke it again because I basically went into the corner and just wouldn't brake, and I went into the wall. And then the next time was Jigsaw spun out in front of me, I had Frisbee spun out in front of me, and I had Ocean Lion spun out in front of me. And I had to brake on every single one and lost about 10 seconds each time, and then I got spun by Gabo to top it all off.
Rough situations to say the least, irregardless. But you still came home third, mate. Like, I'm really, really impressed, because this is kind of like, you know, it felt like I hate to say it, but it felt like a traditional McLaren race for you guys this season. And then kind of out of nowhere, you walked out here still with a great day at the end.
Well, I was the third fastest car, because you go the qualifying, I was the third fastest car. And I was doing them lap times with a 9 front wing. Because I completely forgot to tail the thing down, didn't I, before when it went dry. So I ended up running 9.7 wings, where everyone else was running like 7.7 or 6.8. So that's what my mistake was.
Alright, well, do you think you can replicate this kind of performance in the last few races of the season?
Well, I should have had a podium, I should have had probably a race win around Spain, so yeah. The pace has been there, it's just getting caught up with other people's incidents as per normal. If people leave me alone, I'll be fine.
Well, despite all the incidents you were involved in, you pitted less than the drivers immediately ahead and behind you, so you can take that small thing as a consolation prize, I guess.
You know, I only made one mistake, that's the one in the whole race, where I clipped the wall when I had a broken wing. I should have boxed under the safety car when I had a broken wing. I tried to go until the rain, because the rain was going to stop raining in like 2 laps, so I tried to wait till the rain stopped, so I didn't lose as much time. I should have just boxed and just got out of the way. But it is what it is.
Alright, well, fair enough. Thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us.
No worries, thank you.
Alright, and that's the word from our top 3 finishers, Torpedo, Matrix, and Zola. Very interesting run and fights for the podium all the way to the end of this race. I'm realistically gotta wrap this up. And once again, Kinsey, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in. It's a shame to see you squeezed out of this event as early as it ended up happening, though.
Yeah, but given the nature of the track, there wasn't really much that could be done.
Alright, well, in a week's time, we'll be going at... Where was it again? I honestly forgot.
France.
Yeah, we're going back to France. So that will be an interesting circuit. Kind of an all-arounder. There's not really a whole lot of places on that track that really hyper-favor a single car. So that could be a very interesting circuit, to say the least. But until that time, I've been SingLeader13. I've been joined for about 3/4 of this race by Kinsey Retro. In a week's time, you'll see us again here for Realistic League at 8 p.m. UK time on the same channel on Saturdays. Until then, farewell and